Hey everybody. So, some folks were asking me to show how I do this 2D comic effect. Right now, we're in PBR, now matcap, and unlit is really the secret sauce here. So, my last recording did not work out for me. I'm just taking a previously existing model and working off of that. This is General Woundwork from Watership Down. And I'm going to try and use him as the subject matter for a demo for the kind of 2D style that I was playing around with lately. Usually what I do is I add an extra layer or a unique layer just for the line work. I've always loved drawing in pen and ink, and this is really very similar in a lot of ways, except you can kind of add certain elements to a pre-existing sculpt. So in the original animated film, there was this very kind of pen and ink with watercolor style. And while I was traumatized by the film as a kid, I was also fascinated by it. The fact that you could have such a serious story told with animation. It was a real first for me. And I was obsessed with drawing rabbits for like months and months after. Not like rabbits killing each other or anything, but they always had the same kind of look, the style of the rabbits in the movie. So you can use the geometry. I'm a huge fan of cross hatching and hatching. Um, just a side note, but you have to have you know a lot more mesh available to get a really clean line, and you'll see examples of that as I go along. I also use the matte cap mode as a guide because you don't have shadows in unlit mode. It can be kind of hard to see where you're going. And so if you want to really maximize any of the nuances to your geometry, it's good to use matte cap or PBR and just work off of that. So now it's a kind of lighter shade on its own layer, and you just use that to play up highlights. And I mean, in effect, what I'm doing is just kind of, uh, I guess, faking a light source. So the light's kind of above and in front of him. And it's also a really good idea to use another layer to play up the shadows, because those are going to work together. So, Ephraphins, which is what this character was, the troop that he came from, have these really dark circles under their eyes. So, it's kind of fun, and you can also create a rim light effect. Of course, it always depends also on the direction that your model is facing, because it can be kind of tricky and take a little bit longer to get it to look good from every single angle. It can be done, but I was just working on one side of his face for the purpose of this demo. So the other side is a little bit of a dumpster fire, but it's okay. So it's kind of fun working this way. I'm kind of surprised I haven't tried it sooner. The colors are very flat, so they can be very strong. I'm giving him a scar around his eye now, just because the original character didn't have that. So if you're not accustomed to like creating your own light source, what can help is actually if you're modeling in PBR, create your lighting setup, and you can even potentially use that as a guide, kind of see, like, because this is PBR right now, which of course the material needs to be worked as well. This is matte cap, but you can actually set up your lighting source if you don't feel comfortable kind of trying to, do one from your head. So the other side looks like crap, but this side looks good. Another fun thing you can do as you paint your rim lights in is you can select different colors. Right now I'm just kind of messing around with the stroke a little bit. But you can create some really interesting moods, I think, using this method. And it can have a really nice sort of comic book energy. Or manga energy, you know? I kind of like the idea of being able to tell a story like this. I think it'd be fun. So now I'm just creating some little highlights in his fur. The lower opacity you have of any... I just use a default brush. But the lower opacity, the softer edges you get. And you can also kind of layer your strokes over one another. For the ink, I was using a brush that was set at, I think it was like a setting of like 10. I just dropped it all the way down. If your opacity is down on your brush, though, the other thing to consider is that you won't get a hard edge. If you're going for that kind of style, it's probably better if you just use full opacity for the brush and then kind of tweak the opacity if you want in the layer itself. And you see I also had to